Catus, Maximus here, this time with a little review of this Mustang MS43. This is the New Britain. New Britain came out with Mustang as a line of more budget tools, but this was back in the 50s and 60s. It's using the patented New Britain design, which has shown itself to be a well-proven, much better than SK design ratchet mechanism, so definitely was keen on this ratchet. Being budget, it was a little bit of a different take on a budget tool than it is nowadays. Nowadays, a budget ratchet would just be totally garbage. This part of what they did with the budget is they just didn't finish it. They just didn't put they cut out a bunch of the finishing processes where they carefully grind all the forging flashing off, polish it up, and give it a nice deep chrome finish. You can see that they cheap out so much that the forging flashing actually went all the way around the handle, and they just knurled over the top of that flashing. It's almost a little bit difficult to see on the camera, but it's kind of interesting that they just rolled the knurling over the top of it and then gave it a basic chrome finish. That's about the only parts that really seem to be very cheapified on this more budget brand, but I did want to point out that the Mustang is a New Britain ratchet. This particular one has some features that really aren't budget, especially for round heads, such as an extremely tight anvil. This is actually pretty unbelievable. The tightness of this anvil would be respectable on a pear head ratchet. It's almost unheard of on a round head. The ball detent. You can know a strong ball detent on any tools. If they're soft, you'll be able just to press it in with your finger. This one's not soft. This is easily snap-on level detent. No socket with long extensions are ever going to fall off of this ratchet. It's you actually have to get some real force to install and remove any tooling, and the chrome plating is pretty nice. What I mean about some of the other things that are actually much more premium about this budget line is the reverse lever is just a super detent in it. That is one of the strongest detents I've ever felt, and even in that JCPenney Pencraft, which is based on New Britain, not as strong as this. This will never accidentally reverse on you, even if you're on top of it. And this ratcheting action, absolutely excellent. Listen to this. Just super duper nice, crisp, and definitive. And so it's fitting a Mustang. It's tight, strong, a little rough around the edges. So that was essentially this review. I got lucky in a half-inch drive, and these Mustang round head ratchets are actually really well worth it, and a pretty nice budget item from New Britain. A lot of people know New Britain, but they don't know Mustang, and you're essentially just getting New Britain tools with a little bit rougher finish. Let me go ahead and pull out the spiral retention ring. That really is. The tolerances are just amazing on this. Let me get this square here. It's just super tight, and we'll show you that New Britain mechanism inside here. With these type of spiral rings, you got to find like the little corner where the spring starts, and there's a little area where you can get a little screwdriver and get under it and start to pry it out, and that's how you take these apart. This spiral ring was just definitely a little bit more fidgety than normal ones. You can see the little notch to get a screwdriver started just because it was so tight in there. Pop this off. Pretty nice broaching in there. Looks definitely pretty darn nice, even though I don't have very good light. This ratchet is also essentially brand new. We can see inside there's like not a touch of corrosion, and that's that distinctive New Britain mechanism with what is essentially a floating pawl design in a round head. The floating pawl design is what is pretty much all modern pear head ratchets use, and so when you reverse it, you have this piece on top. It uses an over-center spring, which then moves a secondary collar, which is what's actually swinging the pawl back and forth. And you can just hear the strength of this. Just really strong. And so that's how you actually are reversing the ratchet. And that's what makes this these New Britain designs such a big deal, is the SK just have like a little rocker pawl, which either rocks this way or rocks this way. The New Britain design just uses a much larger pawl. Single piece, which then just changes position. I mean, in this half-inch ratchet, there's probably 3 to 4 times as much actual engagement surface area than there is in any SK, and then you just have this little steel, actually cast piece that goes on top to activate it. And so that's really why you want these ratchets, because this mechanism is just so robust. Let's get this back together. And there we have it all back together. So the New Britain Mustang. So if you run into these old Mustang ratchets, give them another look. And this is one of those examples of not quite judging a book by its cover, because if you're not really familiar with the Mustang brand, you'd just say, oh, it's an old American ratchet, may not be super great, but it actually is something special with a pretty special mechanism, and it is made by the New Britain company. So just wanted to share my experience with this. And I've kind of taken this type of thing upon myself on my YouTube channels to try to cover just as many of the both new stuff, but as well as old stuff, just to show that ones like this, it's going to be hard to beat. I mean, any roundhead ratchet today, it's going to be hard to beat this one as far as, I mean, it may have some more teeth, but as far as overall design, strong detent, tight anvil, strong reverse switch, and a really strong mechanism. I mean, I just wanted to add this little tidbit too, because there is a misconception that roundhead ratchets tend to be larger than their pairhead counterparts, and that actually isn't the case. Many times, roundhead ratchets offer you better access because you have a round head and less arm that can swing. So if you're in a really tight space where you're trying to move a bolt, you can swing the ratchet further because the beam won't interfere. Where such as in a pairhead in the same situation, the side of the pairhead's going to hit, and you actually get a lot less swing action. A lot of conception is round heads are taller. We have a pretty big switch on this Harbor Freight Icon here. So if we just compare head heights, because the switch heights are about the same, what do we, if I can get this pretty level, we can find that this round head, if anything, is actually a little bit shorter than this pair head. And this round head ratchet has a much bigger pawl than this Icon does, especially the flex heads. The pawl on this is probably twice the size as it is in that Icon. The other conception is that maybe the heads are wider. And it's kind of hard to show here. It's a little bit wider than the Icon, but not by very much. If we put the Icon over the top of this, we can see it covers it up. So almost the same. And that's with this having a rough finish and flanging. If we actually measure that, just roughly across the flange, 1.5 inches wide. And how wide is the Icon? Right across the peaks? Literally 70 thousandths of an inch smaller. So about a 1/16 of an inch narrower on this Icon than it is on this round head. Yet the round head has a ratchet pawl with twice as much surface area of engagement. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing and commenting. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.